So, unfortunately, we could not salvage much out of the footage that we shot earlier this month with Stretch. This is going to actually be considered our lost episode because this is going to be spliced in with some footage of that interview that we could save. But I figured I would talk a little bit about myself, the guy who runs the websites and does the talking drum and all that. I'm originally from Fresno. My last name is De Leon. A lot of people have a hard time pronouncing it, so Dave the Drummer just seems like really good marketing, very easy to use. People, could kind of just, oh yeah, Dave the Drummer. I have been playing for about 10 years now. I had a bit of training when I was younger with my dad, but didn't really pursue it past like 7, 8, kind of just jumped into different interests and such. My brother is a drummer. He freelances, plays in a couple of different things here and there back in Fresno. I have 2 uncles and my dad who were drummers. I have been very much inspired by them and the fact that there's a great legacy in our family of playing when music. I moved to Santa Cruz, I hadn't really considered playing music. I started going to open mics at Porter College, College 8, and the different various campus open mics to just start performing. I started doing poems, and then I eventually started doing a cappella versions of songs that I was really into. And then I just started playing with friends around campus, just doing things here and there. Moving along, I got my first drum set about a year and a half later with my friend Tony's help, and we started just jamming and just recording various stuff, and eventually we formed a group called XY Plane. We're very progressive and electronic driven. It was just mostly keyboard and drums, but had a lot of fun playing and recording a lot of different stuff, some of which you can find on our SoundCloud. And eventually, Tony moved away, and I was kind of left to find my own way musically. Without him, I'd been playing with him for the last 2 years up to that point, so it was kind of like a babe in the woods situation where you're kind of just lost and not sure. Eventually, I moved into a house in El Rancho Drive and started playing with this group that eventually would become Jeff Gardner and the Tools. I played with them for about a year and a half or so. It was a cover band. Played a lot of contemporary stuff, reggae, all that jazz, and played with them for about a year and a half. At some point, I decided I kind of wanted to get involved with different projects, different sounds. So I started playing with different groups around town. Stalked by Satellites was one, In Time and Space being another. I've filled in with different bands, one being Little Petey, who's actually right behind the studio we're filming over here at Light the Band Studio. And I've also filled in for another band a couple years back, this band called Snakes in Boots, my first festival. I've then got to playing with Emmanuel Johnson, who I play with now currently. We play in the C-137 rhythm section, and we played in about 3 to 4 different projects. He's my comfort zone. He's like my security blanket. Whenever we play together, is just a good connection that we get. And I'm super grateful that I was managed to find him. And we kept playing after Stalked by Satellites had kind of crashed and failed. And I play with him currently in the Cohesion, and we have kind of been the core of what makes that group kind of go. And, we've kind of just formed it around ourselves, and it's been a great ride. So people kind of wonder why I have a video game store as a sponsor, and it's just largely out of my love for video games. It kind of bleeds into being Dave the Drummer. I am a huge fanatic for Dance Dance Revolution. I've talked about it with anybody who will listen to me. And it was kind of the thing that I would get into. I would say it was the thing that kept me wanting to dabble, at least the curiosity, keeping the curiosity in me of playing music with Dance Dance Revolution, all the beats and the rhythms and all that, and the timing and everything, and all the coordination. My dad had always said to me that he thought as long as I was playing that there would always be a chance I would come back to playing drums. Well, I guess he was right, because we're right here, we're doing this thing. And I love video game music to death. I have tons and tons of soundtracks of video game music, and it's some of the most brilliant stuff I've ever heard of my life. Nobuo Uematsu, who who works on the Final Fantasy games and other various things. He's amazing. He's made amazing music for as long as I can remember. Tommy Tallarico, I have to give him some mad props because he's made tons of video game music, and he just, he had it for the time. These are guys that are using chip tunes and, all kinds of old video gaming, beats and whatnot, which is now becoming a huge thing. You have chiptune bands and, all that genre that's kind of just hot. I have to give a big shout out to Yuzo Koshiro. He has definitely changed the game ever since he stepped in day one, and big props up to him. But eventually, I would really like to start playing video game covers of different songs. There's a lot of Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Street Fighter songs that I would just love to start maybe performing, doing drum covers. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. I don't think it does. I would definitely say that my biggest inspiration is Bill Bruford as a drummer. His snare is just signature. You're listening to him when you hear his snare. His time spent across Crimson and touring with Genesis, and even working with like Chris Squire on the side, and his Earthwork stuff has just been amazing all across. I love the guy's style. Pat Masalato is another guy that I would say is a very big inspiration to me. I've been a big fan of his ever since Mr. And when he became the drummer of Crimson, and I put two to two together, it blew my mind. And I just recently got to talk to him a couple of days ago when the Stickmen were in town, and it's always a delight to go and see your idols and whatnot. As of late, I've been a really big fan of Billy Cobham. He's just amazing. His style and technique is just one of a kind, and the guy is just he just dances. His hands just dance on his drum set. It's amazing. I would say that my style personally is a fairly rock with a little bit of jazz. I really like playing against rhythms, and I do like odd timing signatures. Although I have trouble working on those time signatures, but ask anybody and they'll tell you sometimes you just really got to work at it. My kit is a Pearl Export. It's a purple-ish. It almost looks like the Decepticon logo, which I kind of really big fan of. And I use a 12 and a 13-inch tom with my side tom. 20-inch kick, and I have an A custom thin crash here. I've got my Zildjian 18 ride, and then I have my ride, my 302 that I've had since I've been playing ever since I bought my own drum set. And I have another drum set that I was using for Saturday Ludwig Rocker 90s, all white. It's pretty good. I like it. It's a lot of fun. I might keep it. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I've just wanted to make a little introductory video, get a little more acquainted. You get a little more acquainted with me. How I came about the name Dave the Drummer. So I'll finish up with that. I played with a band called In Time and Space. First show was over at Winter's Tavern, which is in Pacifica. I met the gentleman who runs the establishment, and he kept just introducing me to all the cats that we were playing with. This is Dave the Drummer, man. Just say hi, this is Dave the Drummer. And the name just stuck with me. Hopefully you'll see a couple of video game covers sometime in the near future. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your support, and we'll see you next month.
But the story is I've been a Ludwig man most of my life.
Yeah.
I've always liked old Ludwigs. I can't even tell you what my first kit was because I don't remember it. It was a piece of junk mixed together. But then my second kit was a Ludwig kit, and I kind of kept going with Ludwig. And also usually would keep going with something else too.
Yeah.
So right now I'm playing a Ludwig, a three-piece Ludwig, and I have another three-piece Ludwig, a smaller kit. And then my third kit's a brand new Mapex that I picked up recently. So.
Yeah, I like those Mapexes.
Mapex is a great brand.
Yeah. I was really close to pulling the trigger on one, and then I just wound up just putting a little more money into my personal one that I have, my Pearl Export, my purple-ish kind of gray. But I actually bought my first drum set from you guys. It was sitting outside. It was a Pearl Imitation Export, I think built in Japan. It was 5 shells. I think I bought it from you guys for like $50 or $60, something ridiculous like that. I was just like, the hell with it, I'm just going to go for it. Yeah. And then just kind of built off that. And so, I mean, starving musician. What can I say? Also has been very integral in my journey as a musician.
Shockwaves. Recently, about 3-4 weeks ago, in fact, right after our last gig, I decided to bring in another guitarist because we started as a 3-piece,
right?
Guitar, bass, drums, and I really realized that I was putting a lot of pressure on the lead guitarist because some of the songs we do require 3 guitar parts,
right?
And it's hard enough for one guitar to do three parts or 2 parts. So I figured let's bring another guitarist. Well, it turns out to be the guitarist from the grunge band.
Right.
He was looking for another gig, so he joined us, and he's a talented musician named Mitch who's never played surf in his life, but he's trained from the School of Berkeley. He can play anything I throw at him. He's that good. He just needs the confidence because he doesn't he understands now after rehearsing for 4 weeks with us. There's a certain feel to surf.
Right.
There's a certain feel to the music. It's not just, you can play the notes, but there's a feel about it.
I agree.
And he's starting to understand what that feel is in the rehearsals.
I agree. I don't think I'd be able to have kind of the feel and the... I played surf with the band for about 1.5 years here. It was actually the first band collectively I played with. And, I kind of feel like this area kind of lent itself to the inspiration to want to play surf rock because, you hear it and you want to mimic it, but there's a difference between mimic it and then being able to get the feel like you're in there, you're grooving it, you're digging it, and so it sounds like he's going to be a welcome addition to you.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're breaking him in. So basically, he's got to learn about 30 songs, so that we can go out and do long gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
So right now we're just rehearsing.
Right on.
I wouldn't be surprised if later this year we try and put together some kind of EP or some kind of a demo tape of some originals.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of having something to say, hey, here's what we sound like.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's been kind of occurring with me too. Is trying to finish up my EP. I was just talking with one of the guys that helps produce the show, Logan Tyler of Light the Band. Light the Band. The different setups that there is available to distributing to. Getting your music out there. There's, a plastic old school CD style release. There's the paper sleeve. There's the fold out sleeves. There's so many different choices now. It's ridiculous. And I'd imagine it's something else that's a caveat because it's really where creativity kind of really comes out, in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
Just talking with him and, just even getting ideas just from that talk alone,
Well, I keep hearing theories about vinyl's coming back and you put a record out.
I would love to put a record out. I really would. It's a biking town, in all honesty, it is.
It's also good cardio exercise for 4 limbs.
Yeah.
And what's a drummer? A drummer's a guy doing 4 things at once with 4 different limbs.
Yeah.
Not easy.
All right. And finally, what's your favorite place to eat in town? Give some local love. Tell me somebody you're just like, they just knock it out of the park.
You hit me with a question, I have no idea. Sushi.
Well, whose?
Probably Otara in Scotts Valley.
Oh, yeah. I've been there before.
Pretty sure that's the name of it.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's
And
over Scott's,
it's right on
not Scotts Valley Drive, it's the other
Mount
one.
Herman Road.
Yes, Mount Herman Road, that's the one, yeah.
And if it's not there, it's any burrito place in town.
You know who's really good for burritos and also in Scotts Valley is Los Gallos. Los Gallos, which is I actually think in the same shopping area. But they're super fantastic if you ever get a chance to get burritos there. But I want to thank Stretch for interviewing, coming down with us. I want to thank the JBQAV crew for setting this all up for us for the JBQAV stage. 2017, let's make some change happen, people. Peace.